Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
I push that weight to get that dough, but I don't break cause I've been broke. If ain't no pain, then ain't no growth. To keep it 100, I came in to run it and bet if I had to, I'd do it again. It ain't no race if I don't win. I push that weight to get that dough, but I don't break cause I've been broke. If ain't no pain, then ain't no growth. To keep it 100, I came in to run it and bet if I had to, I'd do it again. It ain't no race if I don't win. Trust I'm coming up for that top spot, coming up for that throne. Trust I'm coming up for that drop top, cool sitting on.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Grind. I am your host, Korrey, and we are here to talk about all things WWE. You can catch The Grind on many social media platforms, just like this one right here, Sertoba Media, SIRTOBA, where the struggle is real to be awesome each and every single day. If you want to catch exclusive full episodes of The Grind, it will only be here on Sertoba Media every single Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can catch The Grind on many other social media platforms as well. Those platforms will be available for you to see at the end of today's episode. Now, let's get into what we got for today.
If ain't no pain, then ain't no growth. To keep it 100, I came in to run it and bet if I had to, I'd do it again.
Now, there was a bevy of topics that I could have really discussed today, but I feel like there's one that I really need to talk about for just a few moments here. And I feel as if this past weekend, last weekend, was pretty historic, Sunday in particular, because of the implications of it and because of what I have been advocating for. I've been doing it for years, but in front of you all on the camera. I've been doing this advocating for 8-9 months now. I have severely wanted WWE to take the women's division seriously. And what I mean by seriously is storylines and, the ability to inspire, besides the fact that, oh, the women are doing this now. No, like, let me see them do everything the men can do, and they can. And this past weekend, Evolution, last Sunday, was absolutely, positively, without a doubt, the best PLE WWE has put on this year. Without question, top to bottom, was the best PLE that they've put on this year. Argue what you may be. So I just want to give a brief recap to the show and, why I thought it was so impactful moving forward for the women of WWE. So when you think about that first match between Lyra, Becky, the Intercontinental Champion, and Bayley, the match set the tone for the night. The hype was here. The crowd was absolutely amazing, by the way. Amazing. And they captivated everyone from the start. The match was back and forth. You could not tell who was going to win. And then the finish was just so outstandingly done. We've never seen a slide like in that, type of motion before, where, backslide and how smooth it was. Like, that match was smooth from top to bottom. Every woman had opportunity to show out. Every woman showed up. And it just really continued to brew the rivalry of those three women, wanting that women's Intercontinental Championship, which led to a match between Bayley and Lyra, a 2 out of 3 falls match, which was absolute gold as well. That showed what I've been saying for the longest, that the Intercontinental Championship title itself can build a story, especially in its infant stages, which is what it's in this year. It's infant stages. And it's becoming more and more prestigious, more and more elevatory. Like, it's getting to the point where it's starting to feel like it's just on that same level as the World Championships. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they have the same meaning and all the other good stuff, but it needs to feel like that title is worth going after. And these 3 women put on a freaking show. I cannot stress enough how awesome of a start to the show that match was. Kudos to all 3 ladies involved. Out of that 2 out of 3 falls count match, Lyra beat Bailey. So now it'll be Lyra versus Becky at SummerSlam, which could be up in the air. I hope, it's a great match. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think Becky should retain and continue to build that title up. Very similar to when Seth got the new version of the World Heavyweight Championship. But we'll see. Oh, and by the way, as I continue on, I'm not going to do this in any type of order, by the way. I'm just going to talk about it. But the next match I want to talk about is this women's battle royal match. And it had highlights all over the place. I think they should have did better with Tatum Paxley. I will say that. I think she has great value. They'd have to find the right place to put her to really expose her. But the real stars of this match, of course, it was Stephanie Vaquer. I'm not going to go into all that. And the real one that benefited the most from this match is Lash Legend. Lash Legend is a beast. She's low-key Amazonian. But she, being a previous WNBA player and transitioning into the WWE space, and ever since Metaphor disbanded, Lash Legend has kind of been in the water. They're trying to reintroduce her and all that good stuff. And I think that match was what she really needed to establish herself as a possible dominant force in WWE's future. She still needs some molding and some things, but her character, the bougie bully, I think that's her nickname or something like that. She needs some refinement before they really get her onto the main roster. She could be a difference. So Lash Legend really got the shine in this match, but it was Stephanie Vaquer with the devil's kiss on the ring apron that sent Lash Legend out of the ring. And Stephanie Vaquer will challenge for the Women's World Championship at Clash in Paris at the end of August. So I'm fully looking forward to it to be Naomi versus her. But we'll see. But Stephanie Vaquer is the winner of the Women's Battle Royal. When you think about the women's tag team division, I have been talking ad nauseum about how they've been carrying these tag team championships and the need to make them important. This fatal 4-way match that we just had, I need more. I need more on a consistent basis, and not necessarily a fatal 4-way match, but the match itself was just absolutely amazing. Zarya Soruka versus the champs of Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, and the Kabuki Warriors, the newly reformed Kabuki Warriors. And they need more women's tag teams, actual established women's tag teams. We need to get this division hot so we can change them titles out, because them other titles ain't it. It's time. I feel as if they have bad energy towards them now, and they need to go. Just like we did with every other title, we gave them a refresh, gave them a facelift. We need to do the same thing for the women's tag team championships and make it just as important, just like they do the WWE tag team championships on SmackDown. But that match was absolutely great. They looked like they were having fun. It was a lot of showing off. Soul Ruka was getting that Soul Snatcher on Charlotte. And Soul Snatcher so dope. And ultimately the champs retain. Now, this past Friday on SmackDown, Charlotte was able to pin Raquel, and now her and Bliss have a women's tag team championship match at SummerSlam, which I fully expect the titles to change hands. And then it's gonna be a problem in the Judgment Day. I can tell you that right now. But we are looking forward to that match at SummerSlam. Should be fun. And before I keep moving forward, Charlotte Flair, my prayers go out to you. I know you posted something in the Players Tribune, basically interviewing yourself and talking about some of the hardships of what you've went through lately. I'm just glad that you're able to be vulnerable so others can learn from you. And I just want to give you your flowers for taking the time to not necessarily exposing yourself, but showing others that they can do it too. You went through a very, very, very hard time in your life. You had to make some very hard decisions. And people are always talking about maybe how you look or how you move and stuff like that. And I ain't gonna lie, sometimes it gets to the point where it's like, okay, like we're pushing Charlotte too much, and that's how it felt in the past. And I think that's a very pointed decision, or pointed opinion, should I say? But it doesn't take away from you as a human. So I'm glad you were able to be vulnerable. You don't know how many people you might have touched or helped, and I think it helped out with, you know, her baby face kind of look. The fans were cheering her at Evolution, and she deserves it. So Charlotte, prayers out to you. Shout out to you. But I'm looking forward to her and Bliss winning those tag team championships, even though they're not friends. For the NXT Women's Championship match, we had Jordynne Grace going against JC Jane, the women's champion. And ultimately, Jordynne Grace got screwed by Blake Monroe, which we could have seen that coming from afar. And Blake Monroe's about herself. I mentioned that in the last video, or excuse me, the last episode of The Grind, that you want to look out for Blake Monroe. Blake Monroe, glamour isn't forever, and glamour isn't for everybody. Do you think she would have been okay with sharing the spotlight with Jordynne Grace? And Jordynne Grace becoming champion? Absolutely not. She doesn't even like JC Jane, but she couldn't let Jordynne Grace win because of her. The only person Blake Monroe cares about is Blake Monroe, period. She has no friends. She's not looking for no friends. She wants to become champion on her own. And now it has started and enraged the rabid Wolverine known as Jordynne Grace. But Blake Monroe was not there this past week on NXT, and she will be having her first singles match debut next week in Houston, Texas for NXT. Expect Jordynne Grace to let loose on Blake Monroe. Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus was one of those matches I was like, okay, it's okay. It wasn't bad. What stood out to me the most is that Trish Stratus still can go at 47, 48, something like that. She still can go. She looked absolutely amazing in the ring with Stratton. I feel like there was some times maybe some positioning was wrong. Like when she did her prettiest moonsault ever and landed on Trish's face, it was kind of like, ugh. But I'm glad Trish is okay. But Trish, at her age, can still keep up with the young, quote unquote, young bucks in WWE. And it was great to see her in that fashion, get prepared. And just like Nikki Bella looked pretty good, you know, in the ring and whatnot. She had a match on Monday Night Raw, which apparently, according to her podcast, she was not able to get prepared for, which is kind of crazy. But nevertheless, those young ladies are keeping up with the younger squad, and you know, I'm glad to have them around to keep the younger squad focused, and to see where they came from. Like, it's astounding. But Trish looked great in their match. Tiffany Stratton retained that WWE Women's Championship match, which it now will be her against the Queen of the Ring, Jade Cargill, at SummerSlam. And speaking of Jade Cargill and Naomi basically had a street fight, and the match was okay. It wasn't beyond the moon. Jade took a lot more bumps, which I appreciated, to help Naomi look good, but I feel like the finish was not as seamless as it could or should have been. And when you look at the match itself, it was kind of sort of telling a story. It had moments where like it was cool, like Naomi drop kicked Jade into the announce table where the TV was at the bottom of the announce table, and it kind of smoky came out. And I felt like they could have went a lot more brutal with this match to really, for what it was. Bianca played her role pretty well. She was emotional for both of them, asking them were they okay and stuff like that. So you can tell she still is emotionally tied to both of them. And nothing happened with Bianca, which was really weird with me, with her being in the match, to really show that she is the enforcer of the match. And before, like, you know, Jade did the jaded off the top ropes through the table on Naomi, it was kind of like a pause that was really awkward. And you know they talked through this and more than likely practiced this, so you know we got to get that together, seamlessness. But nevertheless, it was the end of that story, and it was the end of that story for a reason, which we'll talk about here in a moment. Match of the night, by far, Women's World Championship match. Champion Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley. Out of all the matches they have had, this match was a generationally good match. And I am even here to say it was a top 5 women's match of all time. I said it. It is a top 5 women's match of all time. Period. The storytelling, the back and forth, the subtle thing that happened when the ref got knocked down and they ended up out there in the crowd and had a moment. It was just so fluently told, and you really could not guess who was going to win the match. They had you on the edge of your seat, the back and forth, but you could tell how bad they wanted it. It was just absolutely amazing. They built it from here all the way up to here. And then that moment was not necessarily sabotaged, but it went up another level because you heard, "You better watch out," or "I'm coming." That's what it was. "I'm coming." And then you see Naomi come down with her briefcase, cashes it in, and win the Women's World Championship. And that was an amazing swerve. Amazing masterclass of a swerve by WWE. Naomi, everybody thought she was focusing on Stratton. Maybe if Jade won, she would focus on Jade. When Naomi had a plan the whole time, and I love when they make heels that can think, heels that can plan, heels that don't look just out of sort and dumb. I absolutely love when they do this. And what they did with Naomi was absolutely just stupendous. It was amazing. And it put a cap on the amazing match. It did not take away from the match. And I know a lot of us wanted to say, "Oh, we want to see a definitive winner between Io and Ripley," but it protected them both by doing it this way, while letting someone have their moment that has been with the company for 16, 17 years. Naomi was there when they were having those bra and panty matches, was having those mud matches, was having, hey, make magic happen in a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Come out as a Funkadactyl, come out in Team Bad and have those terrible promos and say this and say that. Come out here, as a women's tag team, and I'm gonna disrespect you in the back room. And as soon as you leave, I'm gonna have Michael Cole talk trash about you and your partner, Mercedes Moné, after you all are gone. Step away for 2 years, build your brand, go to TNA, become Knockouts World Champion, and come back to WWE, where you love and you want it and you've been and you just belong. And that person that was in charge before is no longer there, and you are welcome, you are loved. Come back during the Royal Rumble, get into a couple elimination chambers, not know what your direction is going to be, and finally we have a heel turn that makes sense for her. And I'm telling you now, the love that Naomi received after winning the Women's World Championship was fucking heartwarming. It was heartwarming to see, and I love when someone heel, not heel, in the middle, whatever, get what they deserve. That woman deserved that world championship. Point blank, period. And to do it on that show that was all about the women at the height of what the show was, and for it to be just that moment that captured everything about the women's revolution into the women's evolution, and she was a part of every phase of that. It's just spectacular, man. It is absolutely spectacular. Naomi got what she deserved. Very next night on Monday Night Raw, she comes out, starts the show. She basically beats the fans up, which I love. Stated that, she had a plan this whole time, and, basically took advantage of those who just forgot about her. Nobody expected her to cash in on Io and Rhea. And now there's a triple threat match at SummerSlam in a couple of weeks. And I am fully expecting her to keep her championship moving forward. She needs a lengthy title run to really establish this heel version of her. They got something with this. And if they do it right, she can elevate her status as an all-time great, because in my mind, Naomi is already a Hall of Famer. I said it. Naomi is already a WWE Hall of Famer. She came out on Monday Night Raw and they were saying that you deserve it. And she was like, "Nah, y'all won't feeling the glow, but you're feeling this now." And it's like, oh, shucks. This is what we want. This is what we need to see. And those that are my age who really saw the Attitude Era form into what it is now, for some reason, there's a gravitation towards the heels. But Naomi, I'm telling you, absolutely deserved what she received. I'm looking forward to what they do with her next. And hopefully she has a great, lengthy title reign. Evolution 2 was magical. It was just amazing. It was inspirational. It was motivating. It was gravitational. Like, you couldn't walk away. Those women showed off. They came in, knew what the mission was, and exceeded it 10 times over. Those women have shown the evolution of women's wrestling, and that show is what women's wrestling is all about. I am looking forward to more things. I get what Triple H is trying to do with the wordplay. Like, he didn't feel like they needed their own show because they're being featured more in main events and etc. But we're looking at something exclusively for them. They've earned this. Regardless to what we think we're doing now, that they are transcending what the status quo once was, they deserve a show. One show out of the year where it's all about them. You're trying to make it seem like you're making it even for men, Mr. Game, and it's fine. Like, I totally understand and get with inclusion and belonging and having equity versus equality. Totally understand that, right? But they, knowing what they've been through and the men didn't go through that, they deserve their own show yearly, and we need to make that happen. So with that being said, Evolution was the absolute best WWE PLE of the year so far. And there we have it. I appreciate you all joining me this afternoon to talk about Evolution and the recap of that and some things that's coming up, foreshadowing into some things coming up for SummerSlam in another week or two. But before we get out of here, let's handle some business. Number one, follow Sertoba Media on all social media platforms, SIRTOBA, where the struggle is real to be awesome each and every single day on all social media platforms. You can catch the grind right here on Sertoba Media every single Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. And you can catch the grind on other social media platforms. You will see that here in a moment, and I will give you all this. There are some platforms that is being revamped, so it may change here soon. I apologize. But through some statistics and some reflection, I feel as if we need to revamp some things. And there's going to be some things about the grind, the show itself, that will be changing here soon. So I may be, I'm not sure. I haven't made up my mind yet, but I may be taking a step back for a couple of weeks to really revamp. I want to redo this studio here, this office space here, and get it up to a different standard. I'm not sure. I haven't made a decision yet. So you'll know when I know. But as always, getting right is never done. Stay true to what you do. Stay true to why you do. And always stay true to you. I'll see you all next week for SummerSlam predictions. Have a great Saturday.
I push that weight to get that gold, but I don't break 'cause I'm in love. If ain't no pain, it ain't no growth. So keep it 100, I came in the